Oof. Hey friends, it's me, Axial GT. Valve Steamdeck. Everything you really need to know coming at you. Stay tuned. And yes, I'm finally getting around to playing New World. That's the footage you're seeing in the background. But I figured I would take a break, talk about the Steam Deck, and tell you everything you need to know. Okay, so there's been rumors circulating for a long time that Valve was producing a console, a handheld console. And those rumors were realized not too long ago. July 2021 for those watching this in the future. And previously I'd given my take on the unwanted and unneeded Switch OLED versus the Steam Deck. But that was a generalized overview. In this video we take a look at everything we need to know about Valve's Steam Deck. And I'll give my opinions and thoughts for the future of Valve's new portable handheld. I'll also give out my recommendations on what you should purchase if the Steam Deck interests you. It has the potential of being a real long ass video, but I'll try to cut out all the frivolous stuff. But there is a lot of information to go over. So sit back and grab a bag of Cheetos and don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you go on to enjoy the video and find any information useful in it, be sure to give me the finger, or even like and subscribe for future Axial GT content. It helps small YouTubers like me get recognized by YouTube's algorithm. With that out of the way, let's do this. For most of you that know me, you know that I've been building and repairing PCs going on 30 years now. Whoa, showing my age, huh? I built Upper Echelon Gamer's gaming rig. But for the new people here, it's me, Axial GT, and I'll apologize in advance for all the words that fly out of my mouth sometimes. I'm a no bullshit type of guy and tell it like it is. Anyway, I've been interested in gaming, and gaming hardware, for a long time now. But I still wanted to have a portable gaming device. Not really like the Switch. I didn't want to be locked in. I wanted to play PC games on the go, without using a laptop. I have one of those. And I have my main gaming rig that I built here. But for a handheld portable, there have been contenders over the years, but nothing really released in mass, most remaining concept only. Now enter the Valve Steam Deck. Valve is making what's looking like our best option for a portable PC gaming device. Like the Switch, but for PC gaming. But it should be able to do oh so much more. But I'll get into that later. What makes this so interesting is I really don't see this as a console. I see it as a live jive gaming rig. Yeah, I know, technical term. But it's not locked into one ecosystem like the Switch. First, we need to take a look at what's under the hood. First, we are dealing with a Ryzen APU, but it is a custom APU of the Ryzen flavor. On the CPU side of things, we are looking at a Zen 2. This APU has a cut down version of AMD's 3000 series. It's 4 cores, 8 threads, clocking in at 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz. And on the GPU side of this APU, we have AMD's RDNA 2 with 8 compute units. Each compute unit has 64 cores, for a total of 512 cores to handle all the on-screen goodness. Just as a comparison, the Xbox Series S has 20 compute units. While it's not a great comparison, since that is a full live jive console, again, technical term, it is the closest thing we have to compare RDNA 2 with. The Xbox Series S and its 20 compute units shoots for 1440p 120 Hz. Whether it hits that target is debatable, but that's what it shoots for. The Steam Deck is only sporting a 7-inch 16:10 aspect ratio LCD screen at 1280 by 800 resolution. It's kind of like 800p, but close enough to 720p that it really doesn't matter. 720p is considered standard HD and 800p is non-standard HD, with its 80 pixel spillover. And no, P doesn't stand for pixels, it means progressive, but that's neither here nor there. The 8 CUs in this RDNA 2 chip should be able to handle today's games at either 30 FPS or 60 FPS nicely at 800p, since the graphics processor is clocking in at 1 to 1.6 gigahertz. Now I have read a lot of reports and heard a lot of rumors of a little bit of backlash, people saying that it's only for 30 FPS gaming. That is not what Valve stated in the release. People take things out of context. I don't believe you will be locked at 30. I believe some games will play at 60 and others between 30 and 60, depending on the settings you choose. Remember, this is a PC. Now, I've also people say that they're worried about tomorrow's games, but not to fret. I think Valve and AMD have a secret weapon, but more on that later in the video. Let's get on with the specs. The Steam Deck will have 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 memory, running at 5500 megatransfers a second, and running in a quad channel configuration, not the dual channel that was stated when it was first announced. Ryzen APUs love fast memory, and with the DDR5 and quad channel, this chip should never be waiting on memory, so that's a real bonus, no bottleneck theoretically. And for the Steam Deck, it also comes in 3 flavors. The only real difference, or major difference, is the storage, except for the highest version also has etched glass covering the screen to give it the more premium look and feel, and possibly make the games look a little bit more crisp and vibrant. But that's not really going to be a big deal for most. The 3 main differences, like I said, is storage. The $399 model has 64 gigabytes of eMMC, which stands for Embedded Multimedia Card. More or less kind of like a SD card that's soldered onto the motherboard. The $529 model has a 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and the one for $649 has 512 gigabytes of NVMe storage, plus again the etched glass. All three versions have an extra storage option by the way of a micro SD slot. Now SD card versus NVMe is a no contest. The NVMe SSD blow SD cards out of the water in normal use cases, like the loading of games. Even on the $400 model, the 64 gigabytes of its eMMC storage solution might be painfully slow compared to the others, and I believe most people probably should shy away from the cheapest model if their budgets can handle a more expensive version, or if you're technically savvy and want to install an NVMe yourself, because all three versions have an M.2 slot. Just in the cheapest model, it's not in use. But here's the thing, if you do opt for the cheapest version with the intent of installing an NVMe into the open M.2 slot, you must realize it will probably void your warranty. eMMC storage is kind of a mixed bag. It's faster than an old mechanical hard drive because they run, I think, at 300 megabytes a second. eMMC memory runs at 400 megabytes a second, so slightly faster. Not that you'll really notice. So if you can, get one of the more expensive versions. Now the Steam Deck comes pre-installed with SteamOS and uses Proton as its compatibility layer to run Windows games, since SteamOS is actually Linux. Proton is a modified version or forked version of Wine, and Valve has also been working with developers to get their games to run at the highest possible performance within the Linux environment. Now I've tested this myself, and SteamOS actually works pretty good. It does have a few hiccups that I'm sure Valve is really working on. That has to do with anti-cheat software, which at the moment really does not like Proton and SteamOS, but it is getting better. SteamOS and Proton also don't really mesh well with DRM. It adds in a significant amount of latency, but I'm sure these will all be ironed out by the time launch happens. Now one of the really cool things is even though it becomes pre-installed with SteamOS, you are not locked into it. On this little portable handheld, you can actually install Windows and use it to install your other game libraries like Epic and GOG. Now when it comes to emulation, I think this thing will be a beast. I've used a lot of emulators over the years. Now there is an emulator on Steam that you could probably use with SteamOS, and that's RetroArch. But right now it's not really available to the masses, it's only in its testing phase. But there are many emulators you can run under Windows to play all your PS1, PS2, GameCube, and Wii games. The Steam Deck is turning out to be a very versatile little device. Want to hook it up to a monitor or a TV? The Steam Deck's got you covered. You can do that. And it does have a dock, just like the Switch, but it will be sold separately. Not a lot is known about the dock, but it does have USB ports, an Ethernet port, USB-C, and all the other little things you'd find in a dock. Now, as we're talking about tomorrow's games on the Steam Deck, AMD and Valve do have something to increase performance on the little handheld, and that is FSR, AMD's Fidelity FX. Now, I did a video previously on it, and as of right now, most games that have FSR are limited to 4 quality modes. But the way AMD's FSR works, another option could be added because theoretically it should work. And yes, since it does use RDNA 2, ray tracing should be compatible, but I would not expect to be ray tracing on this little machine. And admittedly, I'm not a fan of ray tracing because it kills performance. I'm more of a rasterization and FPS guy. Well, there you have it. Everything you need to know to make an informed buying decision. Whether you decide to buy is up to you. But I hope you found a few tidbits of information in this video useful. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all those things I'm supposed to ask you to do. Maybe YouTube will think that I'm a better YouTuber than what I really am. And that would be thanks to you. But I do appreciate you watching. Send me your opinions and thoughts down in the comments below. I read all of them. But until next time, my friends, I am out of here. You all have a good one.